Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And today was an inside day. We are in the heat and I am in the air conditioning. You can tell by the flyaway hair going on, but I am good with that. As you guys pop in, say hi. Let me know where you're from, right? If you've never hung out with us before, you'll get to know my moderators. My moderators have been with me for a decade, in all honesty. I am so grateful that, lots of people come in and out, and I'm somebody who is a true believer in change. Hello, Owen. I'm a true believer when it comes to change. And I know, even in my own life, people come and people go. And yet, I've been so privileged to have this crew hang out with me every Sunday night. And like I said, if you want to pop in, it's your first time coming in and hanging out with us, come in, say hi, come and meet the crew. You might find us interesting. We are all so different from each other, in all honesty, right? I've known these guys and girls forever. And I have come to realize that it is in those values, it is in those ways that we live, or those ways that we don't rub each other uncomfortably, that we find a space that we can hang out with each other and appreciate each other for those unique gifts that each one of us has. And I tell you, each one of us here has unique gifts, and we're each unique. But it is in those small kindnesses that we do for each other, right? And for you guys, what you do for me in that kindness of showing up here every single night, I think, or every single night, Tammy, every single night, right? That she does both live shows when she's not in caregiving. She was caregiving for the most part of last week, and she just popped back into my leaves. And I'm grateful because Melvin popped in and held the fort a little bit. Kathy came in, held the fort up a little bit. Eugene popped in and said hello like he always does, which is always much appreciated. I don't mind coming in and doing my lives on my own, well, my Sunday night live, because I've come to appreciate that you're going to be here with me, right? But the Monday to Friday, I have done so many of those What's My Good Cheers in the past few years, and been sitting in lots of times by myself. And that's why I'm so grateful when you guys do pop in. I know that content can be heavy, right? That Monday to Friday show that I have, but I think it's important, especially, we're sitting in this digital age right now where we have that opportunity, and not even having to be technically inclined in any way, right? Lots of the people I hang out with, they know how to get onto YouTube, right? They wait for their notification and they come in. But to be all honest, I am the worst typer ever. Working in social media, you know, and having lots of opportunities to work in marketing, I knew they weren't going to be good opportunities for me or the company that would hire me, because I could never get the hang of the typing, right? I know where my letters are on the keyboard, but the actual typing. And I've come to recognize, and only just recently, It's that disconnection between the left side of my brain and my right side of the brain. They don't always work well together. They work well separately, right? They work well separately. Well, I'm not very good at writing with my left hand, but I do practice, right? I do practice on occasion. And I do practice typing. There have been, oh my goodness, so many times, I can't even say how many times that I have gotten into one of those programs, and I think I still have it. Well, on one of these computers, I still have it, where I go in and I practice the typing, but I just can't get my fingers in the right place. I have no idea. Even in high school, I took typing class. Failed it miserably. I failed typing class. But it's in that trying, right? And of course, what you think about is realized, because I think about it and talk about how I'm not a good typer. There really isn't much chance of me in becoming a good typer. But I also understand, in this day and age, it's not really necessary to be that good typer. A good talker, yes, right? You've got a microphone, you hit that microphone and you ask those questions, and you don't even need to type them in. I still type them in, but I'm still using one or two fingers doing it. Like I said, I know where all my letters are on the board. I know what all my tabs are for. I know the shortcuts, but very rarely I use them because, like I said, they just don't work at the same time. It's kind of that idea where you tap yourself on. See, I can't even do it. So if I can start with doing the circle on my chest, you guys can try this one. You guys have probably tried this one before. Do a circle on your chest with one hand, and see, I can't type. And then if I do it the other way, I can't. If I go really slow, but yeah, I just can't do it. So whatever side needs to pick up the slack in the moment, I appreciate when the right side picks in, when the left side is lacking, and when the left side is lacking, right? The opposite way around. And I've been getting along just fine, right? Just fine. But I do recognize that we all have to be online somehow, right? Somehow we have to be able to manage in this age of AI learning. My mother was the absolute worst. She had no intention of learning. And they were simple things too, right? Did get very good at the calculator, right? Because she wasn't very good in math herself. My mother only went to grade 7. She wasn't a very good speller or writer, but she adapted and conquered in what she did. And she did practice with the calculator, and she got pretty good at using the calculator. But I tell you, that one year when we gave her a universal remote control so that she could use her, at that time, her beta machine or her VHS and the TV and the stereo, be able to hook everything all up in the same spot. She looked at it and it was just too much. She just had a little bit of a, what do you call that? A collapse in that idea. And I remember she was really upset. She got so angry. What are you giving me this for? You know I'm never going to use it. Right? And they are still people to this day in my age bracket as baby boomers who are still not technically inclined. I would think for the better part, not technically inclined, but to the basics, yes. And why have they learned the basics? It was because of the COVID, right? When we got shut down, because when we got shut down, the only way they were going to see their kids or interact with the grandbabies and stay connected was doing FaceTime. So they had to buy laptops and computers and at the very least learn the basics in that. Lots of government agencies like the post office, we have shut down a lot of that mail delivery. I was just reading an article where they were saying that 50,000 mailboxes or 500,000 mailboxes in Manitoba won't be receiving mail anymore. So I'm not sure if they'll have a stack of mailboxes out on the boulevards or people have to go to the post office. I can't see them going to the post office for their mail just because the post office is a busy place already. And then to put that burden on top of them, right? Then for sure they would be getting their raises, right? They're always going on strike here on Canada, the Canada Post, right? And it's difficult. They're not making the money that they used to, right? They used to, when people buy things off of eBay, it get shipped, and now people are doing Amazon, and that's all included. They have their own trucks and everything. So um, the and UPS came in, and what's the other one? There's another one. Um, I can't remember the name of the other courier company. It's a big one too, right on the tip of my tongue. But it really cut down the amount of money that was coming in to the to Amazon, right? eBay, Amazon, and Amazon Prime, right? Because it's all included, right? And it's fast too. Within a day or two, you get your parcels. It's super, super fast. And so, we have to adapt and conquer and find ways to adapt to the way we make business happen, right? It's not like it was 100 years ago, right? The things we need now are completely different from the things that we needed last year. Now you can get your meals shipped to you on a box on Monday morning, and every single meal for the week is taken care of, right? All you have to do is divvy out the credit card. It's just a business, right? But that's the way it goes, and we do have to move along with that. I actually sit here, and like I said, I have a lot of honorables who live in this building that I live in, and I see the grocery deliveries here almost every single day. I see those trucks pull up in front of the building, and you have to have credit cards, and or they don't do it with Interact or anything. I was maybe they do. I don't know. I've never used delivery service for my groceries, but lots of people they do now because it's handy dandy. It's getting delivered right to your kitchen counter. And especially if you got handicaps, right? You're getting older. Like, what a gift something like that is. And I wouldn't think that it would be too much extra to have your groceries collected, maybe, or delivered. Might maybe another $5, $10 at the very most. And that's another business for somebody else who's now delivering groceries, right? It's like the milkman. I don't know if you guys remember the milkman. I'm sure most of you guys are almost the same age as me, right? That hang out here. That the milkman used to come, twice a week and drop off the butter and the sour cream and the yogurt and the big glass jars of milk and cream. And do they even do that anymore? I don't think so. Hello, Kathy. Let me come in and see who's all in here right now. Hello, Owen. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Kathy. Coming down here. Well, I'll keep an eye in the comments here, and as you pop in, I'll say hi. And like I said, if you've never come into one of my lives before, just pop in and say hi, and everybody will take it from there, and you'll just be like one of the crew. We'll just develop you in a moment. Let me just come into a couple of these comments here and see what you guys are talking about. Oh, that's nice, Tammy, that you're remembering Andrew in your prayers like that. Oh, you got the card and the letter already, Andrew. Oh, that was pretty good. I'm glad. That was from the whole crew. They couldn't sign it. They couldn't sign it, but it was a kind of a cool card because it kind of represented all of us here, wasn't it? It was a fold out card and it had all the characters of Charlie Brown. You know, they had Lucy and Lionel and all of them, right? And little characters in it. And I was going to write everybody's names because some of them, you know, kind of remind me of some of the characters that come and hang out here with me on Sunday night. But then I thought, we'll just leave it to Andrew's imagination, right? But I did think of Charlie Brown as Andrew, right? uh, Thank you, Tammy. It's been interesting. Found I won't be going to rehab after surgery, but can go home either, so have to stay at someone's house. A friend offered, but doesn't use a computer. Oh, so you won't have a computer to play on. Oh my goodness, you'll have to miss one of our Sundays, Andrew. I'm good with that. I think most of the crew here would appreciate that you had a place to stay. Maybe somebody can lend you a laptop, right? I'm not sure if you have a laptop at work that they would let you take. Oh, but he wouldn't even have the internet, would he? Yeah. Oh my goodness. But if he lives in an apartment building, maybe his friend has Wi-Fi that you could just tap into his Wi-Fi and be online. But I think for the most part, it would be good that you had some company, Andrew, and that you have somebody to kind of watch over you as you're healing. I was packing up my camping gear today. Yeah, I'm getting ready for camping. Surprisingly, I've only got one big bin and two small bins, right? And my tent. I don't know if you guys saw my tent, you guys. It's pretty incredible. I thought I had all my camping done and everything. And then I remembered, oh my goodness, I didn't even pull my tent out. It would be absolutely terrible if I'm running over all my cords here with my chair. That over. It would be terrible if I went camping and had all my car all packed up and everything, and the last thing I didn't take was my tent. But I can't believe how compact. This is my tent, you guys. Look at it. It's like a pancake. All I have to do to set my tent up is to open up the bag, pull the tent up, and throw it in the air. And my tent is ready, right? And then when I put it back, it's just a matter of putting it in a figure eight and then putting my weight on it. And then you're turning the figure eight in on itself. And then it goes back into a circle. Can you believe that this is a 6-man tent? A 6-man tent in this bag. It's not going to take up any room ever on my camping trips. And it's really good because it has the instructions. It's a pop-up tent, right? it has the instructions on how to set the tent up and how to put it together. See here how you put it into a figure eight and then you fold it in on itself. And then it just goes right back into the bag. It just goes right back into the bag. And then when you pull it out of the bag, it just automatically turns into, right, a big tent. It's not as tall. I won't be able to stand up in it, right? But I don't need to stand up into it. I just need to put my mattress in there and yeah, my clothing bag. Yeah, I was happy when I went through my gear because there was a lot of stuff that I had forgotten that I got. My clothing case, right? It's had a clear vinyl window on it, but it had a Gore-Tex bag. And remember last year in the second campground that I stayed in last year, Silver Falls. Was that my second one? I think it was my second campground was Silver Falls. It was a beautiful. All my campsites were just beautiful. I loved them all. I did a really good job last year in picking my campgrounds. If you haven't seen any of those adventures, you guys, I'd say go onto my main page of my channel. I explore the inside and the outside. And a lot of those outside explores I do is in my provincial park tours where I go camping, right? And I do a little bit of road tripping. I love Ontario. I love being up in the mountains. I love rock hounding and digging for crystals. And one of the biggest I think it is the biggest amethyst mine in Canada, is in Thunder Bay, Ontario. They're having a terrible time with the fires this year. But when I looked into the provincial parks in Ontario, they haven't shut the parks down yet. So the fires aren't yet in the vicinity. Mind you, Thunder Bay is really, really close, right? It's only like an hour away from Falls, where I camped last year, and it's only 40 minutes away from where I go digging for amethyst. So much fun. But what was I going to say about Silver Falls? I was going to say something about Silver Falls, but it was super beautiful. Oh, I was gonna say my campgrounds. Yeah, they're so much fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to manage to get those campgrounds done. Right? I'm still optimistic. Right? I think about it. I plan it. I'm in there eyeballing all different brands of RVs and trailers and saving them to my private listings, my private playlist of all the favorite, because they do reviews on the campers and on the trailers. And I'm not quite sure because it all depends on how much money I have. If I'm going to get something that's going to get towed by an SUV, or something that's going to get towed by a minivan or a truck, or am I just going to use a minivan or a large SUV, right? Or am I going to get one of those big RVs where I actually drive them, the camper trailers, and actually drive them, right? And just not tow them behind me. And then of course I'm looking on Marketplace and on Kijiji for the secondhand ones to see if I can get good deals. But it doesn't really make sense in buying a camper secondhand because with the new air pollution laws in the States, unless your RV is older than 1977, you're going to have your RV or trailer modified to the new rules so that they're not um, polluting the air. And also, a lot of those campgrounds, and I usually do the provincial parks. I don't use the private campgrounds, and I haven't used any of those organizational ones, where those you join a club and they have campgrounds all over the country. I've never camped at one of those either, even though I did consider one of them last year when I was going to go to New York to dig for the Herkimer diamonds, but I had to cancel that campground down. That I had to cancel that campground because I was running out of time and I was pooping myself up because that year did thir- uh, 13 campgrounds in 14 days, I think it was. I'll have to take a look. Could be 12 campgrounds in 13 days. But it was a lot, and I was exhausted. And I spent most of that time on the road, and I didn't get to enjoy the campgrounds that I was visiting as much as I could. In the morning, I would be able to do a short distance on one of the trails. I'd be able to walk around the lakes, but I wanted to sit in the campgrounds at my own campground and just sit on the lakefront and listen to the loons and the birds and beat the squirrels and right and and that year I said I wasn't going to do any campgrounds unless I did at least 2 days in each campground, and I did that last year, and it worked out so well for me because I was actually truly able to enjoy my campsites last year. This year, for financial reasons, right? I'm not going to be able probably to be able to go off and do my September trip. I'm willing to sacrifice that. It's my dream. Every September, this will be the first time that I missed my trip in September to do the campgrounds, but I have to be willing to do what's necessary to keep going, right? And I can't be frivolous with my money, right? I have to make sure that I'm afloat. And I think, I'll be able to manage, and I won't have that worry and stress on me. If it happens for me, fantastic. I'm all in, and I would be super excited. It would be a miracle, right? And I'd be super grateful for that. But I have to be realistic too. It would only be for this year that I would give it up because right, the pension kicks in this year, so I'll be in a lot better financial situation. But as soon as that pension comes in, I'm still going to buckle down in the money because I've got a vehicle to buy, right? So I'm going to apply myself, and I'm going to make that the priority. And for sure, no question, uh, as long as I don't break my glasses, right? Chip my teeth or have some other catastrophe happen, that right, it will be the only one goal, right? Besides the September trip for the following year, right? We all have to be willing to make sacrifices for the things that we want, right? And I want my September trip. But more importantly, we have to be willing to make sacrifices for the things that we need. And I need a roof over my head, and I have to make sure, until my pension kicks in, that my bills are I'm on top of my bills. And I'm on top of my bills, you guys. Super grateful for that, right? And with that bit of reselling that I've been able to do, it's helped to keep groceries in the cupboard, right? Helped to keep the roof over my head, helped to keep that pressure off of me, made it so that I was able to stay in good cheer, right? And so I'm good with it. Now, this Thursday, I am taking off. I am going to a festival. I'll be filming it. I got a new tripod this week, and I'm going to a festival. I'm going to be filming it, and I'll be posting it, right? I'll edit and post it when I get back. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm volunteering for the festival. It's where they raise some money for cancer. This is the 10th year that they've done this festival, and this is going to be the first year that I've actually been able to go, only because I can't leave my cat without air conditioning in the middle of summer. So I was never able to go. And the people who usually babysit my cat, right, they usually go to the festival too. So it's going to be lots of fun. So that's what I was doing today is I was packing up my gear, seeing truly what do I need to take with me, because obviously I'm not going away for 2 weeks like I usually do, right? So I don't need as much. And of course, my sister and my brother-in-law will be there, and so they'll be bringing gear too. And so I'm just going to let them know what they'll be responsible for in bringing, which isn't too much at all. We have the pig roast on Saturday night with all the fixings. That's going to be lots of fun. So that meal will be taken care of. I'll be making a nice meal for breakfast on Saturday morning. I think what I'll do is I'll just take munchies with me for Thursday. Oh, we need Thursday and Friday. So I've got to have meals for Thursday and Friday. So Thursday, Friday, pig roast on Saturday, and we'll come back to the city on Sunday morning. So that's going to be uh, an adventure for me. And I'm happy for that. And I'm happy to volunteer. I'll be working the gates and collecting the money. I was kind of thinking how I could maybe put an extra collection box and decorate it or something. Maybe I could decorate it like with a pig or something like that, right? And just see if I can raise some extra money, as they're paying for their tickets. They pull up to their gates in the car, they pay for their tickets, and they give me a $50 bill, and there's two people, extra 20. Maybe they'll say, keep the change, and we can put it in the donation bin as some extra donations, right? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. My brother-in-law said he will phone me with the details of what they want me to do when it comes to volunteering. He said most likely because they said they need people at the gate, and I think that's probably the best place for me, because that my my strengths in being social, right? And of course, being professional in it too. So we'll see how it goes. I'm happy to do whatever they need me to do, and it's going to be a good time. It's all band covers. They have 15 bands playing. They all do covers, but they usually do really heavy rock and roll. My sister says, "Oh yeah, we're pitching our tent right by the stage so that we can sit right at our campground and listen to the music all night." And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to get earplugs. I'm gonna have to get earplugs because, you know, I appreciate music and I appreciate the social part of right, having a festival. There'll be lots of dancing and stuff too, and and even if I don't appreciate the heavy rock and roll, there'll be some old rock and roll that will be reminiscent of the good times that I had in my early and mid 20s, late 20s. Yeah. I was very social. Oh my goodness. I think I partied pretty good. I think right up until my late 30s. Yeah, my late 30s probably. And then once I hit 40, I said, "Okay, I'm too old for this stuff." And I gave up the party days. But I was never a drinker. Surprisingly, I was never a drinker. Not to say that I never drank too much. There were occasions that I did, but I was quite content in just sitting and talking to people or dancing, right? Or hanging outside with everybody while they were having cigarettes, right? That was probably another reason why I didn't drink lots, is because when you drink, you're not paying attention. Somebody said, Cindy, you want a cigarette? Then maybe I might have started smoking again, right? And yeah, that would be pretty sad if I ever started that bad habit up. That was a bad habit. It was stupid the way my reasoning as to start smoking too, right? To lose weight, to have something to do with my hands, didn't do me any good at all, right? I just added another bad habit to my life. And how long did I smoke for? I think I quit smoking when I was about 45 years old. Yeah, probably was around 45 years old or shortly before that. And then I think I was 27. I was a late smoker too. So I didn't start smoking until I was 27 years old. Here's a funny story. When I was a kid, right? Well, me and my sisters, we were pretty feral, right? But my sister Tracy was only a year younger than me. So we were friends as well as sisters, right? And we used to get into all kinds of troubles. But my dad would always give us his cigarettes and he'd say, hide them. I'm quitting smoking. Don't ever give them to me. It doesn't matter how much I yell or get angry. Do not give me these cigarettes back. And I used to think, right? Well, if why are you giving them to us to hide for you? Because you could just throw them away, right? Or you could give them to your friends or something. So he knew every time he gave us those cigarettes that he was trying to quit smoking. Hide the cigarettes, Cindy. Don't bring them back to me. And the brand that he smoked were called Matinee. I don't know if they make them anymore, but I remember Matinee Kings was my dad's cigarettes. And and he always give us the cigarettes to hide. And I remember I was probably maybe 8 years old, 9 years old at the very most. And only because I remember where we were living at the time. So I remember how old I was when we lived in that area. And he gave us the cigarettes. He says, hide them. And instead of hiding them, we smoked them. Me and my sisters, they had gullies, right? It was a new residential area. They were building a new city, and it was a new residential area. So there was a lot of forests and gullies, and it was like fairyland. And us kids, we used to play down there all the time. They'd have beautiful creeks and tall grass. Oh, it was just gorgeous, right? And we would just go sit on a log and we would smoke these cigarettes, right? And then one time we thought we were the tough kids and we were just walking around the complex with these cigarettes. And I guess the caretaker took it upon himself. He was always picking on us kids. And he took it upon himself to go and tell my parents that he caught us smoking cigarettes, right? So we got home and my dad said, "Where are my cigarettes? Where are my cigarettes? I want my cigarettes." We always listened to dad, right? No, oh, I don't remember where we hid them, right? Or I don't know what we said at the time to try and get out of it. But then he came right out and he said, "Oh, you guys like smoking cigarettes, do you?" We knew we got caught, right? We knew we got caught. And he went and he took us. He gave us each one of us, me and Tracy, a big fat cigars because my dad loved to smoke cigars and he loved to smoke tobacco pipes all the time. And I used to love the smell of the tobacco pipes and the cigars. And he put us in a closet, right? So he wouldn't stink up the house, I guess. I don't know. And he made us each smoke the entire cigar. We were so sick. I mean, when I say we were so sick, we were throwing up and really ill and couldn't get out of bed. It was really, really bad. We got so sick on that. They thought it was pretty funny. We got really sick. Their two sisters smoked addiction. Then I would get it into my head that I would have to quit. And then, of course, I would remember, my dad's congenital heart failure and how he was always trying to quit smoking. And I would feel that shame, right? Because that would have broken my dad's heart to know that I smoked cigarettes, even though all my other sisters smoked cigarettes, but I wasn't too concerned with them. I was concerned with me, right? And I felt always feeling guilt and shame, right? I was always feeling it. And I felt bad but it was hard to quit smoking. I tried all the time. Lots of times I would go to bed at night and I say, "This is my last cigarette. Never smoking another cigarette ever." And then I wake up in the morning, go turn the kettle on for a cup of coffee, right? Light up a cigarette. Never even tried to quit smoking. And I smoked, like I said, I probably just after my 40th birthday, maybe 42 years old, right? That when I quit smoking. So I smoked for 15 years. I smoked cigarettes for 15 years. Probably 12 of those years I inhaled the tobacco smoke, right? But I got myself up to a pack and a half a day in cigarettes. Yeah. It was kind of a silly thing to do, but that's the idea. You look back at your mistakes and look at where you're at in the moment and go, "I'm so glad that I quit smoking when I did." It's like I'm so glad, you know, that I quit gambling on the video lottery terminals when I did. But I distinctly remember when, because there's stories attached to them, like when my sister Tracy added the patches, because that's how I got off smoking, is she put the patches in my Christmas stockings, right? And I didn't want to waste that money because the patches are expensive because you have to have two boxes. And each one of those boxes were like $35 each, right? She spent a lot of money on those patches. And well, you guys know my sister's Christmas stocking. They're pretty amazing, right? Nobody makes better Christmas stockings than my sister Tracy. But yeah, and I quit smoking on those patches. I just said, okay, let's start the patch, and I never had another cigarette from the first day that I started the patch. I never had another cigarette. Now, with the gambling, that was a little bit different, right? COVID locked us down, and you couldn't go to the casinos and you couldn't go to the bar to play the slot machines and stuff. So I had a little bit of grace there. It was a couple of months. They shut everything down, right? And in those couple of months, I recognized that I was able to stay on top of my bills. I realized that I didn't have to lie, right? And that was the hardest part of being gambling, right? Because I was never a good liar. I hated, hated, hated. It was one of the worst things ever was lying because I was around so much of it, right? Growing up that I had a real aversion to lying, and there I was being a liar to myself. I was a I was a hypocrite, right? That's how I felt. I was a hypocrite in that. That was the worst part in the gambling. Not the worst part wasn't losing all that money, and losing all that money was pretty bad, right? That really messed me up, right? Being falling behind in my bills, that messed me up. But lying to my husband about what I was doing with that money, and he knew I gambled. He knew what I was doing with all that money and why I wasn't able to stay on top of the bill payments and stuff. Right? He basically just handed his paycheck to me, and I would gamble that too. It was just terrible the way I felt about myself. But rightfully so, I should have felt that way, right? But when I recognized that I didn't have those guilty feelings, those shameful feelings because of the gambling and because of the lying anymore, it made it really easy for me to make that decision that I'm not gambling anymore. And I went really strict on myself. I just said gambling in general. I didn't do lottery tickets. I used to do lottery tickets because of course you want to try for the big one. It's going to solve all your problems, right? With the lottery tickets. And then scratch and wins, right? I did the scratch and wins. And I even stopped buying scratch and wins for my sister, right? I can't control their actions, but I can control mine. And we used to put scratch and wins in everybody's birthday cards and Christmas cards and stuff, right? So because they liked the scratch and wins, and but of course I liked the Lotto 649, because they get to like that was our lottery. They get to like 30 million, 60 million. I'm going, oh my goodness, that would be such a miracle. Life would be so perfect. Life would not have been perfect. How long would that money have lasted me, right? Being a gambler that I was. I probably would have treated my sisters to Vegas or Reno on a couple of trips, right? We would have spent all our time in the casinos playing slot machines and I didn't just play slot machines. I like to play poker and blackjack too, right? I used to go play blackjack at casinos with my father when I was legal age to go and gamble, and we go to the casino. They didn't have the lottery machines in the bars at that point. Just you had to go out of your way and go to the casinos, and we would go play blackjack. My dad liked poker, but I liked poker, but I only played poker online. He used to go to like his friend's house with his money and play poker that way. He lost so much. He lost boats. He lost new cars. He had to sell his houses and move us to something less expensive lots and lots and lots of times, right? He must have had a really difficult life, right? And I bet you my mother didn't make it very easy on him when he screwed up that way. But she had something on him for sure, right? So she got what she wanted out of that marriage because she held these things where he screwed up. She held them against him lots, right? Yeah, but they all hold stories, all these things that I recognize that, they're not good for me, and you really do want to stop. You really want to put a change in, but it's hard, right? And usually, uh, say my only addiction, I have to think hard, right? But I would say the only addiction I have now is still just the pink ice donuts with the sprinkles. And I'm not just saying the pink ice donuts with the sprinkles. I'm saying food in general, right? That yes, I have lost a lot of weight. I'm not 311 pounds anymore, but I still, right, cannot resist. You brought a 6 pack of donuts, right, home. I would eat the whole 6 pack of donuts. I couldn't eat just one donut, right? It was my sister's birthday yesterday, and I walked home just to get some exercise. It was a beautiful day yesterday, and I just walked up and down the back alleys. And actually, before I trail off, I just wanted to say when I walked down the back alleys, I found an abandoned house here in Winnipeg. They buy houses, and because taxes are so cheap here in Manitoba, they just let the house sit there and they just pay the taxes on them every year and they just buy them, and when the value of the property or the neighborhood goes up, then they'll build condos there, right? And they won't just build one house, they'll build like not an apartment but like a triplex or something where there's like three different apartments in the same building. They'll build one of those. So I was walking down the back alley and I came across one of the abandoned houses. I called them abandoned, even though there's somebody's property, some kind of what do you call that? Property management, right? Owns it, but nobody's lived there for sure in 2 or 3 years. But walking down the lane, I could see the big apple tree, and wow, look at the size of that apple tree, right? And then I got closer, and when I came to the backyard, the grass was higher than my head, right? And then the roof over the house, like the tree branches were growing into the roof of the house, and the roofing was all rotting and stuff. So obviously nobody's lived there in at least a few years. But I looked at those apples and said, oh, those apples are going to be ready in a couple of weeks for sure. And I made note of the street that I was on, where the back lane was. And so in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go with a big bunch of recycle bags, and I'm going to climb that tree and I'm going to pick as many apples as I can get my hands on, right? And then I'll blanch them and I'll freeze them so I can have apples, right? I'll put a big bunch in a fruit bowl, and I'll probably maybe donate some to Winnipeg Harvest, right? Their organization that uh, provides groceries for low incomes, right? And donate some apples for them so they can disperse them out. But what I was going to say was my sister's birthday yesterday, and she had a really nice birthday. We just went over and had hot dogs, and then my other sister made her a strawberry shortcake, and I gave her a house clean for her birthday, right? And then she opened up her presents and everything, but they had to make two strawberry shortcakes because that's how much they had, right? For all the ingredients and stuff. So she made two strawberry shortcakes, and we ate one for the birthday dinner, and then there was still another one left. My sister says, take half of it home with you, Cindy. And I love strawberry shortcake, so I wasn't gonna say no. So I cut the cake in half, and I wrapped up half the cake in the fridge. I says, do you want me to put it in the freezer, or do you want me to put it in the fridge? She goes, no, I'll eat it tomorrow, right? So I put hers in the fridge, and then I walked home. It was a beautiful walk, and I plopped myself in the chair when I got home, and I turned on the air conditioner, and I was just like, oh, so happy to be home, right? I like my walks, but I worked hard in making sure her house was nice and shiny and clean, a few projects done, right? And plus there were lots of people hanging around, and that energy, right? It's exhausting a little bit, but it was fun, right? It was fun. And I ate that strawberry shortcake. I ate the whole thing, right? Put it in the fridge for a little bit just so it would cool off. I'm not even sure if I did that. And then I sat here in front of my air conditioner and I just chowed down the rest of that strawberry shortcake. So I don't have a handle on the good eating habits, right? And it's not that I don't try, I do try, but I fail lots. So I don't beat myself up like my sister Alice does. When she goes off her diet, she really beats herself up. And she diets and gets really skinny really fast. She goes on that not the Atkins diet, what's the other one? The keto diet. She goes on the keto diet. I think the keto diet and the Atkins diet are pretty similar, right? But she goes on the uh, uh, keto diet. She loses weight like so fast. Like you see her 1 week and then you see her the next week and you go, oh my goodness, you did that in a week. Like she looks so different, right? But when she goes off her diet, and that's the thing about the keto diet, when you go off the diet, you gain the weight back really, really, really fast, right? Because they call it keto diet because you're putting your body into ketosis, right? And as soon as you go off the diet, you gain all the weight back. And if it took you a month to lose all that weight, it'll only take you like a week to gain it all back. And the thing is with my sister, she'll just beat herself up. Oh, I'm so fat. I'm so and she's just terrible, so mean to herself, right? And at least that's something I've come to appreciate about myself, that I don't do that to myself anymore. I know I go up and down, and because of this heat wave going on, I haven't been going outside as much as I usually do. I try to go for a nice 8 or 10 kilometer walk. I probably, yeah, around 8 or 10 kilometers, maybe. Yeah, I would say I would say more 10 to 12 kilometers, maybe. I don't know. But I go for these long walks. But I usually do those walks 4 days a week. I'll go for those long walks. But because it's been so hot, right? It just sucks everything out of me. And I'm sitting here. You can see my hair is all blowing all over the place, right? Because I got the air conditioner right here, not 3 feet away from my face, and it's just blowing cold air on me. And if I get up and go anywheres outside of where my desk is, oh my goodness, it just sucks everything out of you. It just sucks everything. So I haven't been doing the walks like I usually do. I make sure that I go for at least one, two if I can every single week. But I know for the past few weeks I've been pretty bad. I've been only going for one walk, right? I walk in the neighborhood, right? But only for doing chores when I have to go to the store, if I have to go to the drugstore. I've been trying to be really consistent because when I go to my next doctor's appointment, I want a good record for her to see how my blood pressure is on a day to day basis. So I try to make these little short walks to the drugstore so I can use their blood pressure machine. Today I went and checked my blood pressure, and it was really good. And I think it's because of my iron pills, you guys, that it was my lack of iron that was making my blood pressure go up so high. And it really, where am I? I guess it's daily metrics is the one I'm looking for. It's not it. I don't know. I'm not technically inclined, but I keep saying that. But then I think, oh my goodness, Cindy, you're you got all these apps that are managing your blood pressures and stuff. Help. This is the one I want. I think. Here it is. View all. Yeah, my blood pressure is almost normal right now. Like it's come down so much. I'm just going to tell you. And then just do it for the month. Today, my blood pressure was 113 day 130 over 80, almost normal, right? But I want my doctor to be able to see how good my blood pressure is. Like it's consistently going lower and lower and lower. Like today, like I said, was almost normal for my blood pressure. So I'm thinking, right, it's probably got something to do that I was really deficient in my iron. I'm counting my iron pills. I still have a month of iron to do. They're so hard on my stomach, so acidic, right? They feel like they're burning a hole in my stomach, and I have to cut them into little pieces, my iron pills, right? Because I that's why I take so many vitamins, right? Because I don't absorb things easily. So I have to cut up the pills so they digest properly, right? So I had to dice up these really acidic iron pills, but they're doing the trick. So, right? And even last night, I crawled into bed and I laid there for a couple of minutes, right? Just finding my spot before I closed my eyes and conked out. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I didn't take my iron." And in the back of my head, they said, "Oh, it's not going to be a big deal if you miss a day and taking iron." I'm just like, "No." And I got out of bed and I turned the light on and put my slippers on and went into the kitchen, chopped up my iron pill, and I doused it down with some juice, right? Which is good to get the fluids in me before I go to bed, right? And I went back to bed because I haven't missed a day in taking my iron pills. I'm trying to be a really good patient, right? I'm trying to be really good. And I think, if I'm a good patient, it might pay off for me in a way. But I was kind of happy with my blood pressure today. But like I said, that's pretty much the only little walks that I'm doing and getting exercise. Now, I have been doing the Tai Chi, but I haven't been consistent in doing uh, the Tai Chi, right? So I think tomorrow I should, right, keep a promise to myself, and I'll say tomorrow we're going to practice the balance walks because that's what I've been practicing is the Tai Chi walking because I need to learn to balance, right? And I do the kung fu thing. What is that? The Karate Kid thing, right? Like this, and I always topple. I always topple over when I do that. I broke one of my favorite crystals because I knocked into the shelf, but I'm not too worried about it because at least I didn't knock down my birch tree vase and my sculptures there. That would have broken my heart. Okay, let's come into the comments here. I've just been yibber yabbering. Um, yeah, but Andrew, don't worry about it, right? We'll miss you. And I know you'll miss your computer, right? Because you do lots with your computer too. But it's important for you to heal, right? And we want to make sure that it goes well. Um, but rehab, just Google while you before you know you're not going to have a computer in doing your rehabilitation, that Google some good exercises. They'll give you some sheets on exercises to do. But if you go into YouTube, you'll actually be able to get some good videos, right? And some good ideas in different exercises that you can do so that you can recuperate really fast. If I had thought about it, I would have given you that 50 pound stretch rope, right? I would have mailed that off to you when I mailed your card. I didn't even think of it. It's hanging right there in my closet. That would have been perfect for you to put under your feet, and then you could just lift your legs up to get your knees in motion. But you're going to be so happy when you have that operation, Andrew. I know it's scary. Nobody likes operations and stuff, and nobody likes having their computers taken away. And Andrew, oh, my connection is unstable. It's the heat outside, you guys. So yeah, they just sent me a notification. Okay, hopefully I'm back, you guys. Hopefully that didn't interrupt too much there. It's the heat outside. We made it, I think, to 31 degrees. It's cooling off really fast, but maybe it's cooling too fast, right? To go from the high mid or low 30s to the low 20s. And I think that happened just in the past hour that it made that kind of drop, right? Tomorrow's supposed to be a little bit cooler, just a little bit, right? And then I was looking at the days that I'm going camping, and the weather looks absolutely beautiful. But then I looked at it again this afternoon. It changed again, so it's going to be hot on Thursday. So one day of really bad heat, and then we'll have a couple of really nice nights for the festival. I was actually, this is pretty neat. I have this bug bugs zapper, right? I don't like cleaning. I don't like killing animals and stuff, but at the same time, the mosquitoes are going to be really, really bad out there, right? Because he's actually doing this festival on land that he owns, like a big farm that he has. So I got to make sure that I have this, and my sister's actually got some kind of form of mosquito stuff. And then I thought, oh, well, that's a good idea. I better put my spray in there. And because I go camping usually in September, I haven't had the need to take my bug spray and stuff with me, right? And so I put those in my camping bins, right? Started getting it all ready. If this is going to be a camping adventure, I want to make sure that it is super fun, and I don't want to be covered. I don't want to be covered in bugs. But let me show you this thing. It's actually, you charge it with a little, just a cord. I just finished charging it before I did my live show, and you can hang it up if you want to hang it up. Just see, it just has a little hook there. You can hang it up, and then also you can pull that up and you can put it inside the tent, because every time you open up the door of your tent, the mosquitoes fly in, right? But also it has a light and different levels of lights on that, right? And then also there's the bug zapper on there. Such a good little quality one. It's just a little one. And the price tag is still on it, you guys. Look what I paid for it. $2.50. I didn't get the cord to charge it. It's just a little USB cord, right? But I had cords, so I'm not too worried about it. It's all charged up. It's ready to go into my camping gear. And yeah, I'm trying not to forget things that I need. Tomorrow, I'm going to do my laundry and pack the outfits that I want to take with me when I do the festival, right? And then I want to make a grocery list of the things that I need to buy for groceries for taking with me. And because I'm in charge of making breakfast on Saturday, because my sister's on keto diet, it's mostly going to be like a protein breakfast, but breakfasts are usually protein, right? And then something else that I need to do. I made a list in my head anyway. I should actually make that list in my notebooks here, which I will, to make sure that I don't forget anything. We're probably heading out Thursday afternoon. I think it's only a couple of us staying overnight on Thursday night, setting up, because my brother-in-law sets up, because he really helps with this festival, and so he puts a lot of time and effort and volunteers himself. So I said I would come and help too, right? And he sets up the stage and all the musical instruments and the lighting and stuff, and microphones. That's what he sets up. He does that on Thursday. And then usually around noon, 1 o'clock, people start showing up on Friday for camping and getting to know everybody. And then the bands start on Friday night, and they play all day Saturday and Saturday night. And then Saturday at dinner time or late afternoon, they put on a great big pig roast feast. They hire somebody in and they roast a big pig. And I love pig roast. There's so much fun. And it's going to a good organization, to a good cause, right? So I'm happy to participate. But yeah, and at the same time, I'm excited because I'm going to participate too, right? It's just not going there to work and volunteer. I'm going there to have fun and meet people, be social, right? Practice my craft, shine on people, and have people shine on me at the same time, right? That's the whole idea. Have some fun, right? Have some fun. Um, I'm just going to come down here in the comments. Well, I hope it works out. I'm sure it's going to work out for you, Andrew. You like to prepare too. You're a detailer too, Andrew, and you'll have it all set up the way you will be comfortable with and what will work with you. Um, if I didn't live alone, I could come back to my place maybe. I live on second floor with no elevator. Um, Good old American healthcare system. No elevator on the second floor with new legs. Yeah, so that would be a detriment if there was a fire, an emergency where you need to get out, Andrew, right? That yeah, but it won't be for too long. Maybe a week or two at your friend's place, and then you can get yourself home, right? And you can carry on with your rehabilitation on your own. They just want to make sure that there are no setbacks, no inflammation, right, or infection that comes about, that you don't have any issues after the surgery, right? Um, I will pray that it will work out well for you, Andrew, wherever you stay at, so you can have a computer and online and Cindy's channel too for all other things. Thank you, Tammy. You cover all those bases, Tammy. So cute. And she will too, Andrew. Yeah, so you can pretty much count that you're going to have your computer and you're going to have a place to stay and you're going to get better real fast because Tammy is on it. Um, but don't worry about Sunday at all, Andrew. If you're not here, you're not here, right? And what about your phone, Andrew? Can you watch on your phone at all? Do you have a cell phone that maybe you can just kind of pop in and just at the very least just say hi so that you can officially say that you didn't miss a live. You don't have to stay, but just pop in and say hi like Nancy does on occasion. If Nancy's out there watching on her phone, I hope Nancy's having a great night. Um, right. Thanks, Owen. Um, Be optimistic though, Andrew, right? Remember, what you think about is realized. So just look at it as something that you have to work on. You don't have a choice. When I went over to my sister's house yesterday, we had such a great conversation. Oh my goodness, both of us were bawling our eyes out. I haven't had a good cry. I was actually talking about that this week, that I haven't had a good cry in a long time. And I was actually able to have a conversation about some of those childhood experiences in my life, and at the same time sit in some of those experiences that my sister had that I was totally unaware of, right? That she had endured all by herself without telling anybody, and we started talking about the masks, right? How we all wear masks and pretend that everything's okay when things aren't okay, right? Feel like we're on top of the game, that nothing's getting by us. We right that there are no problems in our life. that we are rich and right. We wear these masks, and when we wear these masks, people don't recognize, right? When we could use a prayer. If Andrew had mentioned it, right? Tammy wouldn't know to say a prayer for Andrew, right? Owen wouldn't know, right? To be that support that Andrew needs in the moment because things are a little bit messed up, right? And Cindy wouldn't be able to send some good cheer off to you too. But because that's the one thing about this crew, right? We don't wear those masks when we're not feeling good, right? We let each other know that we're not feeling good, right? Even if we're not in a good mood, we can actually even tell. We're at that point now, we can tell when somebody's having a quiet day that they might, right? They're not feeling good, right? And then we have to make extra mental notes because we understand it's just not the crew that's here in the moment, but our crew has friends and family who are dealing with their stuff. So we have to check up on Owen's mom and every once in a while on his sister and this brother that he had never mentioned up until last week. And now I know he's got a brother too. So we'll just send some good cheer off to them. But we wear these masks, and then when things go wrong, we don't know why things went haywire, why things are not working out, for the people. Where if somebody doesn't show up, you guys know that I'll be sending you emails because you guys are so consistent that I know that something must be up. That's why I do appreciate when you guys give me the heads up. And Andrew says, and right, having my operation, I might not be in there because I have to go stay somewhere else. And Tammy, right, that, oh my goodness, Cindy, I've got some caregiving to do this week. I won't be able to pop into the lives. Owen says, "Oh, my sister's coming into town. I'll be spending some time with my sister and my mom this week." Right? So it makes it so that the rest of us don't worry about each other. It's life, isn't it? Right? It is life. But when we get kind of used to the consistency, right? That we recognize because we don't wear masks. If things aren't the norm, what's up, right? What's up? Is somebody having a bad day? Is somebody sick or laid up? Do we have to send an email? Does Tammy have to pray for somebody, right? That that it's kind of a nice thing. I like it. It's a great crew that we have here for sure. But yeah, me and my sister Tracy, oh, we had such a great talk yesterday. I left there. I was done. I was looking forward to my walk home, but when I got home, I was done. I could barely hold my eyes. I think I even dozed off at my desk because I was just flat done, right? But that's sometimes when you draw out those emotions and those memories and those conversations and those things that aren't the norm, right? It does make it so that, right? It feels like life has been sucked right out of you. But to be honest, it was in a good way. We made a lot of headway yesterday, like so much headway yesterday. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah, I was really proud of her, right? Because my sister is somebody who wears masks, right? She doesn't want to bother people with her problems. And maybe there is that little bit of idea, that she doesn't want people to worry about, right? That she's not doing well or anything. So she always, I'm fine, everything's good, and she'll be all cheery and stuff. And right, we're walking out the door and she's bawling her eyes out like I need to know this stuff, right? Because we're not mind readers, right? We read into things. But if we don't see it, if somebody's wearing a mask and covering it up, right? And people are really good at it, right? It's become just the norm. And it's something that I appreciate about this crew that we have here, that we know that we could just be ourselves, warts and all, right? And be accepted for that. That was like what I said when I first came into the live tonight, right, Owen? You were the first one here. You heard me say, like, that was something that I really appreciated about us. It's each one of us is so different from the other, right? We're so unique in our own beings, and yet we get along so well, right? That we actually care for each other, right? That we can communicate, send emails, check in with each other, support each other that way. I think it's an absolute beautiful thing. I really, really do. And I don't think it's the norm. I'm online quite a bit, you guys. I'm on. Yes, I've got a small crew, right? I don't have a gazillion people that I'm taking keeping track of. But I don't even think that the crews that a lot of these content creators have those relations that we've got here. It's really quite something quite beautiful. I think unique in itself, in all honesty. Yeah. But that is the idea, not to be able or not to have to wear masks, that this is some place where we can all be ourselves, whether we're having a good day or a bad day. Oh, and let's not forget about Robert, right? I'm sending Robert some good cheer. He hasn't been in here for a while, and I hope his life is going okay in this moment. Yeah, that's terrible that I haven't thrown in with thought just because he hasn't been in the picture for quite a while. But I hope Robert's doing good. Nancy, I know Nancy will be in and she's watching on her phone. I hope she's doing good. Sharon comes in after the live shows and she pops in every once in a while, right? Just to send some good cheer and let us know that she's still alive and kicking, right? And it's really nice that we do that for each other. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing, right? Even our Christmas cards, right? When we send Christmas cards, that's beautiful. Okay, coming down the comments here. Hello, Kathy. Oh, they do have that in the States. Yeah, they're like businesses, aren't they? With the delivering the groceries. Life is so easy. When you go to Japan, like they line the streets with vending machines and you just put your money in and you get your meals out of vending machines, right? Yeah. It was the first thing that popped into my head, but they do that in Japan on the norm, hot meals and everything, but the technology is so fast and so big, especially in Japan, because they pride themselves on being technically inclined, right? And with those big companies, they all are being manufactured there, and the way, like when you see a city of like these big cities in China and in Japan, and you see them at nighttime, they look like something out of a space movie. They look just like something out of another galaxy because they're so bright and illuminated and modern, right? And it's pretty cool, but that's the way the world is moving in the moment, right? It's why they have those sayings, the old fogies, right? That's the way it was when my mom and dad, right? Your mom and dad say, I walked to 6 miles to school and walked home in the snow in my bare feet. When we grew up, we had to go out to the outhouse in the back of the house. We didn't even have a flushing toilet. right? That's innovation. That's the great thing about technology, about evolution, that we are getting better. We are getting more creative and smarter, that we're finding ways to make life, the idea is to make life easier, right? But we know that's just not what they use technology for, right? Quite a bit of it is that technology is there to entertain ourselves, right? To keep us entertained, to keep us in place and not going off into topics where they don't think that we should be because it's a private club, right? Yeah, I do appreciate this age of AI learning. I'm super grateful for that because I couldn't imagine where I would be right now if I had stumbled on to some of the pop topics, and I'm grateful, I have to say, for my curious mind because it was my curious mind that said, "Ooh, what's that? Let's check that out." And then because I got immersed in it, because I found it interesting, I learned to expand in that. And it's like a prerequisite, you expand in this, but this is only a little branch of this. And the next, you guys know how I like to go down side branches, but that's exactly what it is. You start with this and you end up way off there somewheres, right? And this digital age, this age of AI learning, is super fast, too fast, right? Even for myself, I feel, and I'm online every day, but it's through a lot of it is the assistance of the platforms that I have that help to draw me into it, and Gemini to answer my questions. And today, what was it? I Googled a YouTube. Oh, I found a product online because I was looking at this product and it's to hold your camera, and I want to do like when I go camping and I'm on the road a lot, right? In driving from one campground to the next. I want to do the vlogs, right? I want to be able to film. But every time I do, my cameras always get knocked out of its holders and stuff. And I was online today and it was an ad, right? And it caught my attention. It looked like a really neat phone holder that doesn't slip, and you just put it on your dash and it rotates really well, and you can adjust it, and you can use it vertically or horizontally. And I said, "Oh, I need to have this. How much is it?" And I went in and they were like 29.99, which is probably US money. So probably here in Canada about $35, and then probably another $15 to ship it to me, right? But if you buy two of them, you get one free. And my sister is always using hers because she's always talking on the phone as she's driving places with her boyfriend and stuff. I says, "Oh, if I picked up three, I could get all three of them for $50 plus the shipping, so maybe $75 altogether. I could buy one for my sister for a Christmas present, and then I can check her off the Christmas list, right? Because she's taken care of. And I could buy one for my niece because my niece Ashley does lots of traveling, right? She's a little it girl, that one. Oh my goodness, such an adventure. She travels all over. She hasn't been overseas yet. She's planning a trip. I think she mentioned Italy and she mentioned Scotland, right? And but she loves to rent Airbnbs, whether it's cottages or a house or something in whatever city she goes to travel in. And she has a really good job. She works with the Red Cross, right? And her job, she gets to work mostly at home. So it's a remote job, right? Isn't that incredible? To be able to get a check and be able to do your job at home. Do you do that, Andrew? Do you work at home remotely at all? I know you were doing it a little bit, weren't you, when COVID was going on? But do you work remotely from home at all with the position that you have? Because you do a lot of research and surveying and stuff. So it would make sense that the job that you do, that it would be something that you could do at home rather than having to go to the office, right? To the lab, to the university, right? Um, I remember the milkman many years before that. My grandfather delivered ice for people's refrigerators and ice boxes. Isn't that neat? And that's not too far back, is it, Andrew? Right? Delivered ice for people's refrigerator and ice boxes. We didn't even have Freon. Like so many luxuries to be able to open up your fridge and, right? All your milk and all your groceries that are a nice temperature. And you can open up your freezer and grab your ice cubes. My ice cubes are melting in my juice. Right? Ice cubes. To have such luxuries, to flip a switch and you got lighting, to turn your taps and you got running water, elevators. Andrew doesn't have an elevator, but I got an elevator, right? An elevator. I don't have to walk down 4 flights of stairs, right? And there are people up on the 15th floor, right? And like, can you imagine in a emergency situation where you're not able to use the the elevator? That would be really difficult because there's lots of vulnerable in this building. When I say vulnerable, I say elderly people and people with handicaps and wheelchairs and walkers and stuff. And it's difficult quite often. This world, right? They can have their groceries delivered right to their door, right? For $5 or $10 more. I think it's a lot of this age of technology and AI learning is going to benefit lots, but I think it's going to make us lazy, right? Because, well, again, you see it already with the obesity sitting in. It's like more people are overweight than at normal weight. When I was growing up, right? Maybe one or two of us kids in the entire school had a weight issue. It wasn't the norm. Now it's the norm. And not only is it the norm, they consider it sexy, right? With these ladies with the big bums and stuff, they think it's sexy. Not just like, wow, it wasn't like that when we were kids, but lots of things, right? We're always changing. We just have to move with that change ourselves, but not get entrapped in the laziness. Even if everything is being delivered to you, every luxury that you could possibly think is at your fingertips, you can still go for a walk, a bike ride, go to the swimming pool, go for a swim. You can go visit friends, right? Just to stay active and stay out of that system that's put in place to make everything. It's like that movie Wally. Remember that movie Wally? And when they had those, everybody was super overweight and they're sitting in their chairs and they got all the tubes and everything into them. They don't have to do anything. Like even the chairs just kind of wheel around wherever they need to go, right? That's the way the world is going to be, right? Yeah, I don't want to live in a world like that. I love nature so much. I love life. I love people. I love interaction a lot, right? And I always, right? I was thinking about it today. They were talking about, how people aren't moving forward, right? They get stuck in the recycle of reincarnation and stuff. And I wouldn't mind that. right? That wouldn't be an issue for me because I love life. Even in the difficulties of life, the sadnesses, the sicknesses, the moments of loneliness, the times of fear and frustration and anxiety, I still love life, right? Because you can make moments to smile. You can make moments to calm your system down, right? Go for a walk or sit in a bench and look at the squirrels and the birds and stuff, right? It's pretty amazing. I love life. I don't know about you guys, right? I right. I don't even give the end of life any thought at all. Like zero, right? It's not like I think I'm going to live forever, but if it's going to happen, nobody has escaped that one yet. Right? And I just have to trust that by the time anybody has a moment to shed a tear for me, I'll already be back. Not as Cindy, but maybe as somebody else. Maybe we'll meet, right? Um, you'll be writing to me, Andrew. Awesome. I can expect a letter. Don't rush yourself. Oh, you like the card with the Peanuts gang. That's what I got. As soon as I saw that card, I says, "Oh my goodness, that's the perfect card for Andrew because that's like our crew, the Peanuts gang." The Charlie Browns. I used to watch the television cartoons, the animateds. I used to like those. Charlie Brown Christmas, Halloween, right? Um, It was from all of us. I signed it from all of us. I know each of you guys couldn't sign it, but you know what? It was from all of us. And I made sure that I picked a card that said it was from all of us because, right, we are a crew here. Uh, That's exact. I always referred to us as the island of misfit toys. This is the way I think, but I think you're right there, Kathy. I think it is like the Charlie Brown, right? That we are the peanut gang, right? What was that gang in the oh, what were they? There was a gang and they used to make little movie shorts and stuff out of them and they were a bunch of kids. Oh, I can't remember. Now it's going to drive me crazy. I used to like those shows too. Every time they would come home or come on, I would watch them. They were always getting into trouble. Yeah, it was really old one too, old black and whites. um Maybe that's what we need to call ourselves, the Peanut Gang. Your tent is cool, Cindy. That was really cool. I'm happy for you. Yeah, I like my tent. It'll be the first time this weekend coming up to see how it works. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I've got my couch cushions too, so I'll be nice and comfy. And I bought a tarp to go underneath it so I can keep the tent in really good shape, right? Because it'll be the last tent that I get, I hope, right? Unless I kind of miss, because I know in my tents that I used to like on the rainy days to pull my camp chair into the tent and I would open up the flaps on the tent so I could watch the rain and the wind could blow through the tent and I would sit in my camp chair and read a book on the rainy days. I won't be able to do that, I don't think, with this tent. Maybe I can. I'm trying to think though, but I don't think it was very high. I think it just came up to my breast area as high as that tent came. Um, yeah, And the instructions are just printed right on the back of the tent bag too. So, and I'll just be able to just throw it on top of my stuff in the camp gear. It doesn't hold up any room. My last tent I used to have to keep in a sleeping bag, and it filled that sleeping bag full, right? Yeah, so this one is much easier. We'll see, right? My first time going to officially using. I did open it up in the hallway. I took it out in the hallway and I popped it open and everything just to make sure that I knew how to do it properly. It took me a while to figure it out, but I figured it out. As soon as I figured out, it was, oh, this is how you do it, right? And I was kind of being gentle of it because I didn't want to break the bars and stuff, but it's pretty indestructible, this thing. And like I said, I'm just going to unzip the bag, pull the tent out, unsnap it, and throw it up in the air. And it's going to land and it's going to be done. Like, how cool is that? That's technology, right? And I don't mind that technology because putting up tents is pretty frustrating. You should have seen me last year trying to put up that tent. It took me, oh my goodness, a few hours until I figured it out. And once I got it up, I was so happy. And then when I took it down, I wanted to take it down in the exact same way that I put it up so I wouldn't have an issue. And then as soon as I got to the next campground, it was done. There was no way I was getting it back together. Yeah, so that was the end. I can't be fighting. There was a reason I bought that tent. It was because it was supposed to only take a couple of minutes to put up, right? I can't be fighting the tent. I am too old for that, right? Yeah. Um, I'll take lots of pictures and the videos and stuff so you guys will get to see it while it's all open and stuff. Oh, awesome, Tanny. Uh, Andrew, you are so smart. I think you're like a genius and a library full of knowledge, etc. Yeah, Andrew's pretty smart, but we have lots of smart cookies here and sometimes it's not about the smartness, it's about the heart. And I talked about it this week too in my lives about being beautiful on the inside and the outside, right? Yeah, and all of you guys are one of those people, 100%. Uh, okay, you guys, I'm falling behind here. Trying. Oh, Eugene made it in tonight. Hello, Eugene. Hello. Yeah, my sister's birthday. Lots of fun. It was really nice. It was just my sisters and my brother-in-law and my niece, right? And we just had hot dogs and cake and potato salad and just had a nice visit. She liked all her presents that we got her, so that was nice. And yes, I commit that tomorrow I'm going to be back on that Tai Chi because I was enjoying myself. I was doing a half an hour every day, but it only lasted the week and then I haven't done it again since. Though I did give it some thought, but I never, right? Thinking about it isn't the action. So yeah, I'm going to commit to that because at very least I keep my word to myself. So tomorrow we're going to do some Tai Chi. And I did get my tripod, and I got a really really good one. When I looked online, this tripod that I got, they sell for like between 150 and $500, and mine is in like brand new condition. And so I grabbed it because there were three of them to choose from. So I took the one that was worth the most money, even though it was a little bit heavy dutier, like it was heavy. But I'm pretty rough on my stuff anyway. And for the most part, I'll be pulling it out of the car, pulling it out of my gear to use. The only idea is I thought, if I go camping and I want to go do the trails or something, it would be nice to have the tripod. But I have my little short one. I can use the little short one when I go on the trails, right? And then yeah, and I charged my interview. See, I have an interview microphone. So one part goes into that one goes into the phone. That one that one goes into the phone, and then there's a microphone for me, and then another microphone for whoever I'm going to interview, and then it has a beautiful case, and then I just plug the cord in here and everything charges up, right? And it's all charged up 100%. So that's ready to go camping. I've got my extra phone here that I'm going is all charged up almost. And so I've got extra storage on my phone to take video and stuff on the weekend. Plus I have this one here, my tripod. Tomorrow, oh, that's what I was going to do. The camera equipment. I'll do that tomorrow. I started a little bit today in charging everything, but I want to make sure that I have everything that I need, that I'm not disappointed that I don't have the equipment that I want to have for when I go this weekend. And then the next weekend I will post it. So I'll give myself the week to get the video ready, and then I'll post it to my YouTube channel for you guys to kind of come and hang out with me. I won't be able to do the music. I thought that I would be able to because they're all covers. These bands are cover bands, but it turns out that my videos can be claimed by the writers and the producers of the songs, not necessarily the singers of the songs. So I think I could just do little short clips of the music that's being played, but that's okay too, right? Because there'll be lots of other things going on, right? When I'm going to take my I'm going to take my cards with me, my 54 powerful words, and I'm going to pull cards for anybody who wants me to pull a card for them. And we can have a little chit chat in that. So that'll be really, really cool to do, right? Lots of fun. Um, Whenever Sugary is done, I'll take a stack of books with me, maybe start writing again, and I'll have my cards and we'll be playing lots of solitaire. I know you like your solitaire, Andrew. Yeah, I know you like your solitaire. You hit the jackpot there, Cindy, with your mosquito zapper light. That's a cool light, and that's a great deal. $2.50. I thought it wasn't even any tax because it was secondhand. I got it at the thrift store, right? Um, yeah, but then you use your data unless you have some Wi-Fi, Tammy, when you watch my videos, and especially when some of my videos are quite long, Tammy. Um, I did see that get to YouTube on my new phone. I'm going to see about accessing email there also, too. I have a friend who can come to my place to check my email as a last resort. Great that you had a good connection with your sisters. And yeah, Kathy, it was incredible, to tell you the truth. It was an experience. It exhausted me because it was very emotional and stuff, and I was able to have conversations about things that we've never had conversations about before, that I always felt like maybe I was shut down in or didn't have permission to, or that I was um, uh, disrespecting in some way, but it was nice to be seen and to be heard in my experience. And at the same time, for my sister, too, right? It was a really great conversation. Yeah, it really was. It was some healing that really needed to be done. And you know a lot about that story, Kathy, right? So it was some healing, and it was something I think that we both appreciated, right? And we will both appreciate moving forward. It'll just get better and better. Um, Oh, and Tammy knows too, because Tammy's always in my content. She's watched everything I put out there. Okay, the Peanuts gang. This is it for us tonight. I'll be back tomorrow if you guys want to come in at 9 o'clock. It's going to change a little bit. The what's my good cheer? I'm just coming in and I'm pulling a card. So I'm going to be flying by this. I'm always flying by. I don't know why I'm making such a big deal out of it, make it more uncomfortable than it's probably even going to be. But I'm going to try and stay on the topic of the card that I pull. And I'm going to pull that card at the beginning of my life rather than at the end of my life. So that's going to be something that's new in the change that I'm bringing about my channel, and we'll see how that goes. Right? It's right. It does. It gets better and better. The more practice and the more consistent you are, everything gets to be a little bit better. Okay, you guys, you have a great night, and we'll see you next Sunday. I hope the Peanut Gang has a great week. You guys